Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now, today I'm working with the double and single peonies or peonies, depending on how you say it. And we've got 5 dies in this. We've got some large ones, and some of them you cut out 4 times, some of them you cut out 3 times, and some of them you cut out 2. The die has a little indicator on there on how many pieces you need of each. And I have got several of the pieces die cut out there. And I'm going to bring in a rubber mat. I grabbed that one, but I'm going to bring in a different one. Because these flowers need to do some curling, I'm going to bring in a rubber mat, and I'm going to bring in my stylus. I'm also going to bring in my Copic markers, or actually, I think I used my tri-blend on this. I'm just going to grab a pink one, and I'm going to use light pink and a darker pink. Actually, I should say medium. I'm going to let the cardstock be the lightest color, and then I'm going to add 2 other colors to these flowers. Now I've sped this up. This time I worked with the darkest color because I wasn't liking the result that I was getting with the first one, and so I will go back over it. And I've sped this up tremendously because it just takes a while, and I'm not using any care at all in the color that I'm laying down on these, because we're going to curl these and they're going to cup, and the color's just going to be kind of in the background. It's not going to be very noticeable, so I'm not really taking any care. I'm just making some, flicks or some stripes with this and just getting some variation of color on these petals. And I think we have to do 4 of the largest, and I think maybe 3 of the medium and 2 of the small. And we're just going to make 1 flower, and this is going to be the double peonies, or peonies, however you want to say it. I call them peonies. But I have one of these bushes in my backyard, and if I understand correctly, I think mine came from my husband's grandmother. It was at his grandmother's, then at his mother's, and then we moved it to our house. And then next door at my parents' house, I believe they have my great-grandmother's, or my grandmother's bush that they've moved along from that. Anyway, so I think that's an interesting little tidbit. I'm not sure how they got my grandmother's, but I just believe it's something that I've been told. Anyway, so what I'm doing is just curling all these up. I'm using these little grids. This is the little glimmer pad that you'd lay your hot glimmer plates down on, and it's got some grooves in there, and the grooves work very nice for adding the dimension to these flowers. So you can see we've got 4, 3, 7, 9 different layers to this flower, and these smallest ones you actually cup into the inside of the peonies, and they're going to be very cupped. So I'm going to work them and pinch them and roll them and squeeze them and get those petals to just really roll inside themselves and to kind of be like a closed little ball when we get done with those 2 pieces. And so I'm just really working them over with my tweezers and my fingers. And you just keep pinching and pressing and twirling until you get them how you want to. Now, I'm going to give you a warning on this. I got these things all cupped and assembled and everything, and was going to put it on the card, and I don't know what happened. I took a break. I thought I hit record. I didn't hit record. And so you're not going to get to see the assembly of the card, but I'd ask that you stay with me to the end because it turns out to be just beautiful. But and the main part is just kind of showing you how to assemble these flowers so that you get all of the dimension and really get them to look like the flowers. And you can see I'm bending the petals back and kind of pushing them, smushing them together. I'm rotating them so that we've got them kind of every other, and we're just going to layer until we get that real full kind of tucked in look that you get with this type of flower. And you can see now that ink, the marker lines that I put on there are really irrelevant, except for they do add that, that very colorful dimension. And so it doesn't matter that I put them down very roughly. And so I'm just pinching the kind of the bottom of these petals and causing them to kind of draw in, and then just laying them down inside of there. And I'm just going to keep going until I get to that very last one, and I'll just put a puddle of glue and stick that little ball in there. And that's how you put these peonies together. And I think they look lovely. I'm using the stylus to just curl those leaves up in, and we're going to get the center laid down in it. Now, we haven't gotten very much more of this video in which I've recorded, and we're eventually going to bring in the card as it is completed and show it to you. But look at this flower. Isn't it gorgeous? It really came together beautifully. And I really like the elements for the card, and I wish I had have captured the videoing of it, but I was unable to do that. So I guess we do have the kind of the scoring of the leaves, and I'm just taking this Cricut stylus that I use for my Cricut and just running some lines down there, and I'm kind of just following the shape of the leaf and putting some veining in here, and I'm putting a couple different veining pieces, and it's just drawing those leaves up to where they have texture and they're kind of curling in, and it's going to make them look very interesting. Now, I just used green cardstock for this. I didn't add any marker or anything like that to it. I'm just going to go with the green and just use that rubber mat and that stylus to just add some veining and some dimension to these leaves, and they're going to look really pretty with the flower. So you can see I'm just kind of trying to follow the shape of each of the leaves just to kind of make it look kind of realistic. And they're kind of drawing the leaves up and in, and it just makes them look more interesting, and it's going to add plenty of dimension to the card. And there we go. So this is the point where I'm kind of cleaning off my desk, and I'm going to go and assemble it. And then I realized I didn't have it on. So here's my card. I used some simple stories. I used this nested die set to cut out my brown paper. I used the smallest one for the tag. I cut out 2 tags, and I brought in some of the simple stories, sentiments, and I've got bloom and grow on there, and I've added some embellishments, and I used my gold metallic twine from Spellbinders for my tag and just made a little tag on there. And I also brought in these Spellbinders gems dimensional dots and added those, and I think it came together lovely. And I apologize that I didn't have the recording on there, but I think I did get the most interesting part, assembly of the flower, recorded. So if you like it, hit the like. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.